All right, hi everyone, and welcome to our monthly Google Hangout on Air. My name's Ryan Dodge. I'm the social media coordinator here at the Royal Ontario Museum, and this month we've got our first ever Hangout with our ROM Earth and Space team. Well, half of them. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hanging out with me today, we have Ian Nicklin and Brent Hyde, and as I said, they're one half of our Earth and Space team here at the museum. And Ian and Brent and Kim and Catherine, who couldn't be with us today, they were recently in Thailand, and they were there acquiring and cataloging and packing a very large collection that we're bringing to Toronto. And I thought that it would be great to have these guys on air here and tell us about what they did in Thailand and the whole process about bringing a massive, what is it, 20,000 piece collection to the museum?
Yeah, it's 20,000 plus pieces.
Right. So just a few housekeeping items if you're hanging out with us today. We do have the Q&A app on, so if you want to ask questions of these guys, just in the viewer, right in the viewer, you can type in your questions. We'll see them, and we'll get these guys to answer them for you. We're also watching Twitter. If you want to ask us a question, you can ask through @RomToronto or @RomEarthSci, and the hashtag is AskRom. So without further ado, Ian, can you just run us through a little bit of background on the Kerwin collection and why it's so important and why we're bringing it to Toronto? And maybe a little bit about where you're sitting right now?
Yeah, well, first off, yes, I'm sitting in our main mineral collection room. We're in the third basement of the museum, the curatorial center. It looks like a bomb went off behind me right now because we're actually preparing the room to receive the collection. The collection itself, the acquisition of the collection was only one part of a much bigger project. We realized once it became sorry, my screen just went blank there. We realized once we acquired the collection, we were going to need to store it properly, which means redoing our entire collection room. So that's what we're doing now. We're emptying it out. This is going to be a really big empty room in a few weeks, and we're going to be installing a new compact storage system, as well as a special low humidity room for some specimens, some minerals like sulfide minerals, which are very sensitive to humidity changes. So it's a lot of work, but it's well worth it because the collection we acquired, it's called the Kerwin collection. It's owned by a fellow named Douglas Kerwin, living in Bangkok. He's Australian, but he's been an exploration geologist his whole life. Worked a lot in Asia. He's been working for about 40 years, and over that time he's built up this remarkable collection. It's 15,000 ore specimens from most of the deposits he's worked on. And he wasn't just picking up pretty rocks, he was picking up very important specimens from every location that demonstrate key features of those deposits. So it's a remarkable teaching resource. And not only that, he went to the time and effort out of his own expense to cut and polish most of the specimens. So you really see exactly what's going on, geologically speaking, when you're looking at these rocks. As well as the 15,000 ore specimens, he collected several thousand mineral specimens because he's very passionately interested in mineral specimens. So there's some spectacular things in there. He has a suite of crystals from Mogok area in Myanmar, which are absolutely sensational. He's got a topaz crystal about the size of a basketball, which is stunning, but that's just one thing. There's a whole host of rare minerals. So the collection as a whole is very important to it. It's fabulous for education purposes. We're going to be able to do basically from grade school all the way up to postgraduate education with this collection. It's going to be especially important for exploration geologists and those studying to be exploration geologists, just because of the sweep of different ore deposits represented in the Kerwin collection. So it's going to be a remarkable resource. But to use it and to care for it, we really need to redo our storage, and that's what we're in the middle of right now.
So this has been, a multi-year project for you guys. I think the impetus for this collection or acquiring this collection came from was it the tsunami in 2004 that did some damage to his storage or something like that? I remember Catherine mentioning this.
There was a flood in Bangkok in 2010.
Oh, okay. It wasn't okay.
Yeah, let me get my dates right here. Or no, was it 2012? Must have been 2012 because we went to we first met Doug.
Time you were there, right?
Yeah, we first met Doug via a friend of his named Laurie Curtis. Every year in Toronto, there's the PDAC, the Prospectors and Developers Association Conference, the biggest thing of its kind in the world, where mining companies and people who have deposits they want to bring to market all meet. There's 30,000 plus people here, so everybody in the mining industry comes to Toronto every March. And so Doug, being actively involved in the mining community, would always come. And as I say, his friend Laurie first introduced us. And we began talking, and Doug had this big collection, and he was getting concerned about what he was going to do with it in the future. And the more we talked, the more he became interested in seeing it come here, and we were, we said, well, we have to come see it. So Kim and I went in 2010, and were immediately blown away, very impressed. It was remarkable. We weren't sure what to expect, but within a couple of hours of being there, we realized that this was a real treasure trove. We went again in 2012, if I got my years correct, because there was that large flood in southern Thailand, which consumed most of Bangkok, and there was a number of Doug's specimens were submerged, but fortunately most of the ore specimens are quite durable, so there was actually very, very little damage to any of the specimens. It was a lot of work to clean up, and his staff did most of the work in cleaning up. Of course, Kim and I helped him reassemble labels and things, but there was very little damage done from the flood. But that's how it started. Basically, it was a conversation, I think, in 2008 or 2009. That was the initial conversation with Doug.
Right, and so and it's great that things worked out, and you guys went over to Thailand this summer and were able to get everything packed and sorted out over there. You mentioned a little bit about the teaching collection and about right from grade school all the way on up to undergrads and graduate students and people working in sort of the private sector in the field. Is this something where some of it's going to go on display and you'll use it that way for teaching, or are you actually going to be able to sort of bring these minerals around and bring people into the collection storage and that sort of thing?
We're going to use it in a wide variety of ways. We will be putting some on permanent display up in our tech gallery, the tech suite of galleries. There will be obviously material down here. We're actually building a dedicated classroom to maximize the use of the collection right down here, right next door actually, to the collection room here, so that we can really maximize its use. That classroom will be wired so that we could literally teach courses from anywhere around the world. Right? People can we can have the specimens here, have a facilitator here, and people can plug in from wherever they are on the globe.
Do hangouts, yeah.
Yeah, so to do that, of course, we're going to have to get everything digitized. So that's another big part of this project, too, is getting everything possible photographed. So there's going to be tens of thousands of photographs come out of this. But those images by themselves are useless, of course. You have to associate the metadata. You have to associate the story of each piece with it so that it's useful.
Right.
So we'll be able to use those. People will eventually be able to sign in themselves and study the collection remotely. We can do school tours. There will be a whole variety of ways we use this.
Right. Okay. Great. Brent, I want to talk about some serious scientific work that you're doing right now with one of the specimens that you brought back ahead of time. So you guys packed the crates on a container ship somewhere in the ocean, I'm assuming, on its way here, but there was one special piece that you guys decided to bring back because you wanted to do some research on it right away. Brent, can you just tell us a little bit about that, maybe a little bit about the room where you're sitting, because it looks really cool from my view right now, and just talk about the machines and things, and maybe a little bit about what your specialty is, and about this one specimen that you brought back.
Sure. So I'm a research scientist at the ROM, and I'm sitting in the Earth and Space labs right now. So what we do in here is we use X-rays and lasers and light beams to look at rocks, minerals, and meteorites. So the one sample that we brought back, show it here. I don't know if you'll be able to see much detail. There we go. So this sample here, we thought it was a mineral called painite. Now painite is very rare, especially this big. So we started second guessing ourselves. So we brought it back kind of as a special kind of experiment, see what it actually was. It turns out it is painite. So this is one of the larger painite samples available. It's a very rare mineral, but we were able to confirm just yesterday actually that it's painite. So that it's going to add greatly to our collection, and we know there's more actually of this painite coming. So we're going to have a great collection of painite, a rare mineral, here at the ROM.
Cool. And just for people like me who don't know too much about rare minerals, can you, why is painite so rare, and why is it so important to have, so many specimens here at the museum?
Right. Well, the museum tries to be encyclopedic. So it tries to have one of everything. Tries to have the best of everything, but just for the sake of having one of everything, and for research purposes as well. So this mineral here is something that's formed in what's called a metamorphic terrain. So where there's high heat and pressure, this type of mineral forms. Until fairly recently, there was only actually a few large specimens known. Fairly recently, there's been a few more discovered, but it's still one of the kind of rarest minerals that are used for gems, for cut into gems. So it's something rare that people may not be able, to see anywhere else, but at the ROM, and something that's mineralogists, gemologists, and the general public, and some can come and see and enjoy now that we have this collection.
Great. And so, I'm interested. Like, obviously, people are going to look at the gallery and things like that. But you, as a scientist, what do you learn from the specimen? What are you looking to learn?
Right. Well, I mean, the big thing was, what is it? And that's going to be the big thing with a lot of the Kerwin collection, because a lot of the materials in this collection are just identified by eye. Some of them are rocks that contain a number of different things on them that it just they haven't been completely described. So one thing that we could very well get from the Kerwin collection is new minerals that haven't been identified before, structures and chemistries that haven't been identified before, and that's incredibly important. New minerals tell us a lot more about processes on the Earth, how the Earth functions, and beyond that, new structures and chemistries are always end up being used in just about everything. The next generation of cell phone could have a new mineral, new structure, found in the Kerwin collection, for instance.
Right.
So just describing these new structures, finding these new structures, is incredibly important, not just to earth sciences, but to science and technology in general.
Amazing. So there was stuff in this collection that could possibly be new to science, is what you're telling me, Brian.
Yeah. I would bet money on it. 20,000 specimens. I'm sure there's something in there that hasn't been seen before, hasn't been described before.
Does Doug know they're there?
Well, he's definitely pointed to some.
He let you know, yeah.
It's a pretty good idea.
So yeah, I mean, things he says are interesting. We're definitely going to take a look at early on, for sure.
Awesome. That's exciting. I'll be interested to see, what you guys find and what comes out of that. I'm sure there'll be a lot of papers coming out from you guys in the next couple of years. Now, I'm the social media coordinator here, so I'm always on Twitter. I'm always on Facebook. I'm always looking. I feel a bit like your guys' big brother. I saw a great photo that Catherine shared. Catherine was tweeting while she was over there using the hashtag Kerwin, and so I was following the hashtag, and I saw a great photo of Brent, of you standing in the heat. And we've talked a little bit about the hard science. We talked a little bit about what we're going to do with the collection. I want you guys to tell me what it was like going to Thailand. I've never been. Maybe a lot of people that are watching have never been to Thailand. You guys had lots of help from the community there with packing and cataloging of the specimens. Maybe if you guys, anyone jump in and just talk about what it was like going to Thailand and just being there and working in another environment that you haven't maybe been to before, other than you, Ian. You've been there before. So.
Yeah, a few times.
Want to start off with the temperature, I guess?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I mean, southern Ontario, we're kind of used to hot, humid August weather. So I mean, it's not that much kind of hotter, more humid than that. Um, Kind of, if you can imagine yourself kind of at a campsite, mid-August, hottest day of the year, sitting around a campfire, that kind
Right.
of what it feels like. But other than temperature, just culture shock. It was just, I mean, we were packing up these minerals, and a couple of monks came down the street and wanted to help. So just being in a situation where something like that could happen on the other side of the world, it was just, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Brent. I mean, people often think of Asia and the heat, and Brent's quite right about the experience. This time it's actually the rainy season there now in the south, so it's cloudy a lot. So it wasn't actually as hot as it can get. The first time Kim and I went was in April, which there's no rain, and it's they don't even talk about humidex. It's 45 and it's 45. It's not what it feels like it. So it can be quite withering there at other times of the year. Fortunately, this time, because we had to do so much heavy labor, this was the right time of the year to do it. But Brent was quite right. It's one of the mottos for Thailand is the land of smiles, and that really is true. They're marvelous, friendly, hospitable people, always willing to help. A lot of Doug's staff helped us out with the wrapping, certainly with the packing. That was quite an experience, having two Buddhist monks in their saffron robes helping us not only bless the trailer but pack it, and because we needed all the help we could get. Because even though it wasn't the hottest time of the year, we're packing into a metal container, right? A 20-foot long shipping container, which is a big metal can. So after a couple of hours in the full sun or in the morning sun, you couldn't touch the top of the inside of the container; you would get burnt.
Right.
So it was like an oven in there, and I had to quit about halfway through because I thought I was going to pass out. But fortunately, we had a steady stream of people to run into the oven and keep packing. Mm-hmm. But no, it's a remarkable country, and just really, really wonderful people.
Great. And we didn't really talk about the food, and Catherine also shared a lot of pictures of when you guys were doing the packing and moving specimens around, and there were a few pictures of redoing labels and things like that. What kind of, was there an inventory already completed, or was it something that you guys did from scratch, or I wonder if you guys could talk a little bit about that sort of. It sounds really difficult and confusing to me as a museum person. I wonder if you could put it in perspective for maybe people.
It was definitely a collection management challenge because of the number of pieces, and but Kim and I had done some inventorying. We counted the first time we were there. We actually counted all the ore specimens. So it was 15,300 and some odd, I think. So we did something like that, and the last time we were there, we did kind of another inventory, but this time, because we literally inventoried every single piece. 20,000 odd records. I forget the exact number, but it was certainly 20,000 plus individual records. And it was just Catherine did a lot of that. Brent was also involved, and so was Kim in the inventorying. I was just full on the packing. I've had more experience in that than the others. But where was I going with that? But yeah, they're often strapped to the computer, just inventorying.
Right.
Because it's crucial. Yeah.
Because the container shows up, and things may have shifted, or
or customs may want to see something. They may say, oh, okay, we actually numbered we packed these things in these really wonderful plastic fish crates. They ship fish in these things. They're very durable. They stack really quite high. So we numbered each fish crate as well. So the customs may say, I want to see what's in crate number 417. So okay, fine, we'll get crate 417. Here you go. So we have it down to that kind of level of control. But it's crucial for
covering all your bases before, right?
Yeah. We want everything to be as smooth as possible.
And Ian, Kim told me about, or I must have saw on social, you actually made some containers for them.
Made some what with the boxes? Crates?
Yeah. So you're a
Yeah, well,
carpenter as well?
yeah, yeah. When I was young, I worked in the trades before I came to the museum. So my father was a mechanic and came off the farm, so I learned all that stuff when I was a kid.
Right.
But
Were the
yeah, there was a number of
big?
very large specimens that we had to, that big topaz crystal I was telling you about earlier. They weren't going to fit in the fish crates. They couldn't go in a cardboard box because they just bashed through the cardboard. So we actually had to make get some wood and build some crates.
Right.
It worked out well.
Crazy. And let's go back, Brent. I just want to. We only got a few more minutes. I want to talk about, just some of the stuff that you're excited about this collection coming in, Brent. You mentioned, the new to science stuff, but is this stuff a departure from what you normally do at the museum? Is it nice to get new stuff to work on? Maybe just mention a little bit about how this is going to affect your day-to-day at the museum.
Right. I think it's the same stuff we always do. It's just a huge collection added to that, and it's specimens from another part of the world that we aren't strong in. So we have ore samples from all over Asia now, which we weren't strong in before. So there's different occurrences we can look at, different minerals we can find. So it kind of multiplies our options of what we can do. But it's really nuts and bolts. It's doing the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's an extension of what we do daily. I mean, Catherine and I are the ones that manage the collection. So for us, Brent will be hard stuck on the X-ray machines, figuring out what some things are. We'll be in here making sure it's inventoried and put away properly so that we can find it 30 years from now. That's part of our jobs, is that collection management side. But no, and as I echo what Brent said, there's a number of important suites in here we weren't strong in before. Now we are, and this is the way the collection has been built. This collection is. Sorry, my computer keeps going to sleep here.
Well, we can still hear you. Go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, this collection is a collection of collections, going back to about 1895, and it became fairly obvious to our initial curators that that was the best way to build this collection. You couldn't collect every piece by yourself. So what you do is you acquire collections as they become available, important collections, and so our best curators, that's what they've done, is gone after important material and got it, secured it, so it's still here now, and we're still reaping the benefits of that after 100 years. And we want people 100 years from now to be thinking of the same way about us, and that reaping the benefits of the stuff that we preserved and collected.
It's just a fantastic story all around, and I'm really glad that that you guys were able to get out there and bring this back for us, and also that you're thinking about the way that things are stored and inventoried, and providing classroom space down in the third basement for people to interact with the collection physically in the space, but also digitally through hangouts like this. So it's just great. Is there anything else you?
Yeah, I should say that it's certainly a team effort amongst ourselves, but it's of course there's the much larger team that no one ever sees or hears about. There's the ROM governors, of course, our fundraising arm of the museum that was instrumental in raising the money we needed to make this all happen. So thank God for them. And then there's going to be the people that actually help us install this, and there's a whole army of people here that are going to be making this come true.
Yeah, I guess and that's kind of why we do these hangouts, is just to make sure that we're bringing the back of house to the front of house, and there's 1,200 volunteers, 300 full-time staff, so it's a big place, and we all work together as a team to get things done. It's great that we can do that. We're gonna wrap up here. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging out, and we'll look for Brent. If you find anything crazy, just let us know. I want to hear about anything new to science, so we can share it with everyone. Again, if you're interested in Earth and space, follow these guys on Twitter. The handle's @ROMEarthSci, and they're tweeting all the time about all the cool stuff down here in the third basement. Look for the archived version of this hangout on our YouTube channel in a few minutes after we're done here. Next month, we're going to talk about something a little controversial. Some people may have heard about de-extinction of species. We've got a new exhibit going in about the passenger pigeon. The ROM has the largest collection of passenger pigeons in the world, and we are looking at some interesting things to do with that collection. So tune in. It'll be September 24th at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back here. We'll be back here with Ben Novak, who's a scientist working with the extinction, and Dave Ireland, who's our managing director of the Center for Biodiversity here at the museum. So thanks again, guys. Really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us today. And,
no trouble.
Thanks.
Okay.